So how have you been, Alec?
Good. Busy.
Yeah, I bet busy. You're probably thinking you've got to want either a vacation or just time away from everyone, but you were out at San Diego Comic-Con for the release of Axanar episode 4, The Gathering Storm. And was that any kind of relaxing vacation, or was it just basically like, yeah, this is work?
Well, I would never say disparagingly that it's work. Was it stressful? Yeah. It was stressful getting everything done, but we got there on Thursday. And because of that, we had Thursday, Friday, Saturday to get ready. And there was a lot of stuff I was doing. There was a lot of editing I was doing, trying to get videos up and shooting stuff. We hadn't been to this facility before, so we had to go there and scout it out, and they were great. They were absolutely wonderful people. So it was busy, and it was a little stressful in that it was against a deadline, and unfortunately, things worked out on a lot of levels. Things worked out well, so.
Mm-hmm.
So that's all good. And look, it stayed up for 2 days, and before they took it down, which of course, as I've said to other people, they had no right to take it down. The contract, the settlement agreement is very specific that they cannot do anything. That neither party can do anything but send a letter, a notice of breach, and then if you don't like the answer, go to arbitration. That's the only remedies. So, but CBS are. Listen, we're used to them lying and cheating, and this is just the latest example of it. Let's face it, that goes all the way back to before the lawsuit. In 2016, during the lawsuit, when they told J.J. Abrams that the lawsuit was going away, right before the May fan event for Star Trek Beyond. And this was a fan event at the Paramount Studios. I got to go. And they told JJ to announce that the lawsuit was going away, and it was in big fanfare, and he said it was going away and all that. And he said that they lied to him. He said, well, didn't it go away? I said, no, they're still suing me. I said there was a lot of bullshit, and so he was kind of sorry.
Oh, and I completely forgot because I don't podcast all that often. Welcome to the video. I'm BigJ here with Alec Peters to talk about Star Trek Axanar, The Gathering Storm. It's episode 4 in the Axanar saga, and this is Beyond Trek podcast. And so that's what we're talking about there. And here's the question I want to ask you real quick. Just going back just a little bit because you said something that you could explain to me a little more so I understand, and for the audience out there that may not understand it. But okay, so you have the agreement, right? And let's just say, for example, you put up the film, and someone on either side, say CBS, feels like, okay, well, this particular thing broke the agreement. The remedy is to do the arbitration thing before taking it down. Is it the immediately taking the video out that is the breaking part?
So the settlement agreement has a very specific conflict resolution clause.
Okay.
And it says, if you feel that the other party is breaching the agreement, you can send them a letter, a notice of breach, and they have 10 days. I think it's 10 business days. I could be wrong. 10 days in which to cure it. And if they don't, you can then choose to take them to arbitration. That's it. That's the only thing you can do. That's why people are like, oh, they're going to sue Alec again. They can't sue me again. They cannot sue me again. The arbitration is very specific. The arbitration clause is very specific. You can send them a letter, and if you don't like the answer, they don't do what you want them to do, you can take them to arbitration. So nowhere in that does it say you can file a DMCA. That's illegal. That's against the contract. That's a violation. And so where they file the DMCA takedown notice, which is the Digital Millennium Copyright Act. That's the copyright law that governs things like this. They file the DMCA takedown notice. I file a counter notification. So what happens if someone says they're violating my copyright, YouTube would, or any other website will take it down. You have the right to then file a counter notification saying, no, I didn't violate their copyright. They're full of shit. Mm-hmm. And I did that. Now, what's going to happen is, because YouTube, YouTube being the corporate conglomerate bastards they are, they don't care. They'll just do whatever the big guy says. So they will probably tell me, sorry, we're taking it down anyway. And that's why everything's on our website now. Now we just launched a brand new streaming service on our website. It's up at beta.axanar.com because it's the new website. And
it's a fancy website. I like it.
Yeah, thanks. And it's in beta, so forgive us. But all the videos are up there. You can stream them or you can download them for free. It doesn't cost you anything. Just sign up and you're in. So we filed the counter notification, but we don't expect them to rescind it. So we're going to be filing an arbitration. And in the arbitration, it's just like a lawsuit. We get to file for discovery. And so we're going to be asking about, show me every time anyone in CBS wrote down in an email something about Axanar or printed something about Axanar or who decided that they should file a takedown notice, what were the names, and who in Paramount has talked about Axanar and what have they talked about. We're going to go after everyone in discovery. We're going to find out what's going on. And because I don't think the new Paramount are idiots like the old CBS.
Right.
I mean, the people at CBS are morons. Let's face it. Here you have this wonderful opportunity to partner with Axanar, Star Trek that is beloved. We had over 1,500 comments before they took it down, 125,000 views, 1,500 comments. And the 1,500 comments, probably 1,490 of them were effusive, ecstatic. Oh my God, we love this. This is so much better than what Kurtzman did. This is the best Star Trek in the past 20 years. People love what we do. So what kind of idiot would try and stifle that rather than co-opting it? I mean, think about it. CBS could say, or Paramount could say, tell you what, you release it and we'll put it on our website and we're going to make money off of it and we're going to print Deep Blue. You go make money. I don't want to make any money off of it. Go knock yourselves out. But the old guard at CBS, they're still so bitter about the lawsuit. It's pathetic. Here we are 10 years down after the lawsuit, and the outside counsel at Loeb & Loeb is still, he hates me so much. It's pathetic and immature and unprofessional. Mm-hmm. And as a matter of fact, they sent a cease and desist to the guy that's making the 1/350th scale USS Ares model.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And he was like, okay, one, I'm not selling these. Right. Two, I have nothing to do with Alec. He said I could make, but that he's not part of Axanar. Mm-hmm. So he wrote a letter back and said, so basically, unless you have something relevant, stop writing these. And, they're just trying to intimidate people. They're basically trying, doing what Donald Trump does. He sues everyone to try and intimidate them, right?
Right, right. That's the number one strategy he has, is to get you to back down and to sue you. The most litigious person that's ever walked the face of the planet.
Sure. Yeah, exactly.
But he's somehow found a way to never sue anyone for slander over calling a pedophile. Like, why is that? Well, because there's this word called discovery.
Discovery, exactly.
Now, let me ask you this. This is going to be the tough one, but I know it's the question that everyone is asking about in regards to one of the clauses in the settlement agreement, which I think there's something about it that confuses me as to if that's what they're applying. It's who was grandfathered in as to who could be in these films after Prelude. They named Kate Vernon, Gary Graham, J.G. Hertzler.
Yeah,
right. The original cast only. But they didn't have Tony Todd on there. And
because he had left the project already at that time. So we didn't ask for him to be in there.
Oh, okay. So by including Patricia Tallman, Taron Fahir, and Tony Amendola, is that the part that they are saying, okay, this is what did it? And even if so, are they still in the wrong by having taken down the video immediately as step one instead of filing the thing? How did that work?
So first of all, yeah, basically we have Tony Amendola because we didn't have Richard Hatch because Richard Hatch passed.
Right.
So I'm making the case that I get to make a substitution. You said I could have Richard Hatch, but you sued me so long that Richard passed away from cancer. Right. And then the word that came back to us was that CBS talked to Kate Vernon and dissuaded her from being in the production. And I was like, okay, that's tortious interference with a contract. That's violating my right to fulfill a contract.
And when did they do that?
I'm sorry.
What they talked to her. It was sometime between this settlement and this film, but it was after the fact and wasn't.
Well, she's already committed to come back, and then miraculously she decided, no, I'm not going to come back. Well, someone talked to her.
Yeah, right.
Someone said something to her. So I'm like, okay, well then I'm going to get someone else to replace Kate, and I got Pat Tellman. So it's not like, so I got someone else. So anyway, so think about it. What can they do? They can send me a letter when it comes out that says, you violated the settlement agreement. And I can say, no, I didn't. I think I'm okay because I made substitutions. And they can then file for arbitration. Are they going to file for arbitration because I had a couple of professional actors? Hey, tell you what, go knock yourselves out, file for arbitration based on that, and then go ahead and prove damages. So how are you going to prove damages? Because the whole idea is to prove that you've been damaged by me violating. How are you going to prove that you've been damaged? You can't prove that you've been damaged. So you're not going to win anything. So that's my calculus. My calculus is, you know what? And also they made it abundantly clear by taking down legitimate videos that we had that they were going to take down this. Listen, we all knew they were going to try and take it down. They basically, they literally said they would in an email to me. And so I'm like, well, okay, if that's what you're going to do, frack you. I'm going to do whatever I want. If you're telling me you're going to breach the settlement agreement, well, I'm not bound by the settlement agreement then. I'll do whatever I want.
But they can't stop people from seeing it. And that's the part I don't understand is that even though right now as we speak, it's not on YouTube. I mean, you can't stop the signal now.
And we just updated our website. So as a matter of fact, you should put a banner across the beta.axanar.com. Everyone should go to our new website.
Yeah, look at the banner right down here. Check out the site. It's there. It's on Jonathan Lane's Fan Film Forum. It's out there.
And I'm telling people on Facebook, post it everywhere.
So what was the point?
Yeah, well, this is I'm just posting a new video that I just finished before I came on with you. And it's addressing this. I say, welcome to the Streisand effect. This is the and CBS so stupid. They have twice now been burned by the Streisand effect with Stephen Colbert. And Mallory Levitt is the head of CBS IP. She's the head lawyer in charge of CBS IP. So she's clearly the one who's somehow involved with this, with the Stephen Colbert decision. So, and what happened there? They did, because they're all beholden to the right wing, to Trump White House now, they decided they weren't going to publish the interview with James Tallarico that Stephen Colbert had.
I remember that, yeah.
So what did Stephen Colbert do? He put it on YouTube and got like 4 times the number of views he would have gotten out, right? That's the Streisand effect. It's like you don't bring attention to things, just let it go, right?
There are more people that have followed and been engaged with Axanar because of all of this stuff than there would have been if everyone just would have played it cool. To be perfectly honest with you, I am willing to bet that a very, very healthy portion of those views was because of the Streisand effect. And if it were me, and this is why I can't go into any kind of production management or whatever it is, because I've got common sense and I'm able to use some logic and tact. If it were me, I would say, you know what? Okay, no, we're not going to take down the video because Jesus Christ, just let it play out so that even if he blatantly broke the settlement agreement, just so that this way he doesn't have anything to keep talking about or to even question. Like, just let it play and let it go. But no, they had to do what they do. And again, It's just Streisand on top of Streisand on top of Streisand. And I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy. And I'm sure that there are some IP lawyers out there saying, BigJ, it doesn't matter how big or small. It is what it is. And it's not black and white.
Yeah. And listen, I wrote an article about there was when Stranger Things first came out, which is, I guess that's Netflix, I think.
Yep,
Netflix, right? Some guys in Chicago did a Stranger Things pop-up bar, totally unlicensed.
Right.
So they do this bar, and everyone loves it. Everyone loves it. So the lawyers at Netflix send them a letter. And it was the funniest letter you'll ever read from a lawyer. And it basically said, look, guys, we love the fact that you love Stranger Things. And we really think you're doing this cool. However, you really should have contacted us first because that's copyright infringement. He said, so we're going to let you do this, but don't do it again or we're going to call your parents. And right, it's like they really leaned into it, right?
Yeah.
And it was funny. And of course, everyone's like, look at this letter from their lawyers. Everyone's talking about it, right? And Netflix is getting so much positive attention at the time because of this letter, because the lawyers were cool and funny and everything, right?
It was handled well. I think that was handled well.
Brilliantly. CBS are the opposite. They're just being total assholes. They're just like, they're so bitter. And let me tell you, this little lawyer over at Lobes and Lobes.
Those guys still.
He is so funny. He is Javert in Les Miserables. He is Ahab in Moby Dick. And he's oblivious. He's oblivious. He's on his thing, it says co-chair of litigation at Loeb and Loeb. Okay, great. You think that person would have a little self-respect, a little dignity, a little wherewithal, right. But here he is. He spends his time chasing down a guy who's making a Star Trek fan film. And I'm just thinking, like, that's kind of pathetic. Like, I got news for you. When you die, no one's going to give a shit about your career. And they're certainly not going to give a shit about what you did trying to chase me down. And when I die, my headstone's going to say creator of Axanar. And people are going to know what that means. Someone told me years ago, Alec, 50 years from now, no one's going to know that Axanar wasn't canon. And I take a lot of pride in that we're doing something groundbreaking. And CBS they're just too stuck in the past, to think this is pretty sharp. How do we leverage this, right? What you should be thinking is, how do we leverage his equity? Alec has equity with fans. How do we leverage that? 6 million views of Prelude to Axanar. How do we leverage that? How do we make money? You are a corporation who have a fiduciary responsibility to your shareholders. And instead of spending hundreds of thousands of dollars suing me, millions of dollars suing me, and then hundreds of thousands of dollars in arbitration, how about you make some money off of me? How about that, you idiots? You're so freaking stupid that you're so bitter and petty and immature that you have to go after me. How about making money for your shareholders? That's what you should be doing. And you know what? It doesn't take an MBA to figure out how to make money off of Axanar. You pick up the phone, you say, Alec, we're going to take it and we're going to put it on our website and we're going to make Blu-rays and we're going to do T-shirts and this, and we're not giving you a penny. Okay, that's cool. Because I'm not in it for the money. I'm just in it to make it. And I literally told Mallory Levitt in an email a month ago, I said, look, we're coming out on this date. And the bozo over at Lobes and Lobes is going to probably try and file a takedown notice. If you do that, I'm going to arbitration and I'm going to try and make your lives miserable.
Right.
Just let me release it. Let me release the last, the part of the trilogy. And then I'm done with Axanar and I'm out of your hair.
So let me ask you.
But they couldn't do that. They couldn't get over themselves. They couldn't get over their immature bitterness, their pettiness. They couldn't get over it. So I'm just hoping that the people at Paramount, the new people, the Skydance people that came in, David Ellison and all his people, Rebecca Mall is the head of marketing, and Chris Parnell is the new head of Paramount Plus. I hope these guys have some sense that they look at the situation and go, why are we suing? Why are we messing with this guy? Why aren't we leveraging Alec to make money off of him? Because I'm standing here going, make money off me. Go ahead, make money off me. I'm okay with that. I'll just keep making, you do what you want. I'm not here to make money. I'm here to make Star Trek.
Do you think it's because of the capitalist greed, which is basically it's all about me, guy on the top. No one can have it or share it. It's my money. No one can play with my ball and all of that. Do you think it's a greed thing with the Ellisons? Like, yeah, we don't want to work with this guy because we want it all.
First of all, David Ellison doesn't know anything about Axanar. Exactly. I guarantee you he doesn't know anything about Axanar. People farther down do, because we were told that there was a meeting at Paramount over a year ago, where Axanar was the topic was the subject. Mm-hmm. So I think there's people at Paramount, and I think what's happened is that CBS has done everything without talking to Paramount. I don't think anyone at Paramount knows what CBS has done. And because I don't think
feels that way.
Levitt went over and talked to the people over at Paramount and said, look, we're gonna do this to the Alec Peters, and he's an asshole, and we're gonna do this. And I can't believe the adult supervision over at Paramount would say, oh, that's a good idea. No, because I have never once met anyone in Hollywood who thought them suing me was a good idea. Never once. Producers, directors, editors, stars, big stars.
I want to see one qualified person to say, yes, it's worthwhile, and here's why.
Yeah.
We haven't gotten that. We have all kinds of armchair quarterbacks and unqualified people voicing opinions that nobody cares about. And the thing is that find me someone in the business that can legitimately say, all right, everybody, listen, I'm a professional, I'm in the business, and here is why it's advantageous to us to do this. But that is not happening. That doesn't happen. That's never happened.
Yeah, never heard one person. I've never heard one person. Now, let me also short circuit an argument that people, if you know a little bit about IP, you can make this mistake.
Okay.
If it is a trademark case, you have a duty as a trademark holder to defend your trademark anytime that there's a violation of trademark.
Sure.
Right? So if whatever that trademark is, I don't know, is it maybe the Chevron? I don't even know if they have I don't think that's a trademark. But say something like that, when you have a trademark, the Coca-Cola swirl, right? If you see someone use a Coca-Cola swirl, you as Coca-Cola have got to go after them for trademark violation. You have a duty to defend. That's not true with copyright. And I know it because, listen, there are people that have been violating. There's this one company, Arsenal Models. And years ago, when I was working for CBS, when I was doing work for CBS, I said to John Van Sitters, I said, John, these guys, you should get them to buy a license or something because they're violating your IP. And I said, and fans love the stuff, so you should they've never done anything. There's so many people like that they've never done. Listen, they have not done anything about the fan film guidelines in 10 years. They have never once called someone up and saying you're violating the guidelines. So and look at it. Farragut Films violates it. Avalon Films violates it. And everyone violates it. And why does CBS not care? Because it's fan films, right?
Right.
They don't care because they look like fan films. They're an hour long. Who cares? So Vance Major has made 150 fan films. You're only supposed to make 2. You're not supposed to make sequels or prequels, right?
Right.
They don't. Right? Why not? Because they're fan films. Because they have such a small audience, and no one looks at them and says, "Oh, I mean, listen." I've said it before. I said it to you. Jonathan Anshel, the CBS General Counsel, in May of 2016, when our first settlement conference happened, I asked him. I said, "Why are you suing us?" I said, "Star Trek New Voyages and Star Trek Continues use your sets, use your costumes, use your characters, use your music, use your everything. They are recreations of TOS, beautiful recreations,
right?
Meticulous recreations. Why are you not suing them? Why are you suing me instead? We don't even use the name at that time. We didn't even use the name Star Trek." I said,
you're right.
I said, and he looked at me. There's 7 lawyers on their side. There's me, my lawyer, and her associate on my side. He looks at us and says, because no one's going to mistake them for real Star Trek.
Right. I remember you said that.
And
yeah.
I looked at Erin, and Erin looked at me, and she was like, well, there you go.
That's why.
That's why. It's because, and look, John De La Rose just made a video, and he pointed out that we had a better response in the first 2 days that our video was up than Starfleet Academy did.
Wow.
So we're embarrassing them. That's the problem. That's why they're shutting us down. We're embarrassing them, which, of course, again, if they had co-opted us, if they had leveraged us, if they had brought us in and said, okay, we know you're going to do well, blah, blah, blah. And their whole thing that, well, we can't let Alec be successful or else people are going to be doing what Alec does. No one's going to be doing what I do. No one wants to be me because no one wants to get sued. No one wants,
I'm sure it's not fun.
100 assholes on some Facebook group harassing, bullying, and assaulting me and my girlfriend. No one wants that shit. I'm just, I'm just stubborn enough to take that shit and not care. So that's a bullshit. It's that they did not like. And then the other part of that story, the other half of that story is before we went to trial, before you go to trial in federal court, you have to have mandatory mediation. They get a magistrate judge, who's a retired judge, to sit and try and mediate and get you to settle.
Right.
So we go to this mandatory mediation. CBS lawyers are there. They go in. 40 minutes later, they come out. Then Erin and I go in. And the judge, he was this sweet old man, had this, I swear his office looked like it came from the 60s or 70s. It was like totally postmodern. And anyway. Right. He sits down and goes, well, your problem is you're just too good. And Erin was like, yeah, we know. And
that's a compliment.
Yeah. He said, look, that's the problem. They don't want to settle with you because they now they did settle with us. And clearly that doesn't mean anything to them. They're violent.
What? And why is it such a harm to work with someone? It's either do everything you can to squash them or work with them and make it to where the thrill of getting away with something goes away. It's like, I keep hiding the cookies and you keep trying to find them. That's the thrill. So if I just put them on the table and say, yeah, there you go. Well, I don't want cookies anymore. That's gone. Now, real quick, I know there's a difference between trademark and copyright. but what is it about what's the difference? Just tell our audience the difference, and why is the trademark the one that's like you have to go after this, but the copyright you don't?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not listen. I'm not an IP attorney. I probably know more about IP than I know enough to be dangerous, right?
Sure.
And obviously had long conversations with Erin, my brilliant attorney in the lawsuit, and Mike Merman, who is my IP attorney for 20 years. Who was our first attorney in the Paul Jenkins case. And so, I have enough knowledge to, kind of know where the red flags are. Why is there a difference? Why do you have to defend trademark and not copyright? I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, that's you got.
Because I knew that, but I didn't know why, and it's one of those things where everyone knows it. No one will say why.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, and again, I think that the thing is, the problem for CBS and Paramount is they got lawyers dealing with this situation. Mm-hmm. It's not lawyers who should be dealing with this situation, And as I've also said, is that, I worked with CBS for 5 years before they sued me.
Right.
In 2010, I was a licensee. We sold all the assets from the Star Trek experience in Las Vegas. They had a warehouse full of stuff. We cleaned out the warehouse. We did a warehouse sale, which was televised and got an enormous amount of attention. And then we sold a bunch of stuff in our licensed 2010 Star Trek auction, which was also the Doug Drexler collection and Robert Picardo collection. And then I volunteered and inventoried their assets that were in the Star Trek exhibition in St. Louis and in Florida. And the whole time from 2010 on, I was talking to them about getting guidelines, because when I first went up to Star Trek New Voyages in 2010, I talked to James Cawley and said, and we were talking about it. I said, well, why don't they have guidelines? And he's like, oh, we've tried the blah, blah, blah. I said, all right, well, look, I'm a lawyer. Let me talk to them. So I talked to Mallory Levin, and she put me in touch with Liz Kolodner, the head of CBS licensing. And I met with her up in her offices at CBS down in the Upper West Side of New York. Mm-hmm. And then I met again with her, and I think it was Mallory, or else it was the girl who was working there at Paramount Studios. And I was always like, look, how do we get guidelines? How do we make it easier for fan films? So that was me. I was the guy trying to get the guidelines. And I was working as a liaison and talking to all these different fan films.
Why would you want guidelines? Why did you, when you and James Cawley were talking about that, what was the desire behind even wanting guidelines?
Because you wanted to honor their IP.
Okay.
Right? You wanted to work within the rules. You didn't want them to get mad.
Right.
And there were a couple of times they had to tell James, you can't do that. You can't sell Star Trek merchandise. You can't, whatever. So we all wanted guidelines. And then, and one time I was trying to get guidelines, I guess it was 2015 before the lawsuit. And so I was talking to all the fan film people, like, okay, give me some ideas what you want in guidelines so we can pitch something. And, Vic Mignogna was just lost his shit that I was talking to CBS about guidelines. And he's like, Alec doesn't talk for us. We, blah, 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 blah. And he scuttled the whole thing. Well, okay, dude, that's why you wound up with guidelines you didn't like, because you were an asshole. I was trying to work for years, literally years. And it came down to,
you try to get in front of it. You figured at some point there's going to be guidelines. Instead of waiting for it to happen, let's get in front of it and try to at least help guide it and steer it to something favorable for us. Yeah.
And so Liz Kolodner put me in touch with Bill Burke, who is the head of CBS Consumer Products. Mm-hmm. And I had, he passed away a couple of years ago. But I talked to him, and he said, all right, let me go back. Let me see what I can do. And so he ran it up the flagpole, and he came back and literally came back, and we were standing at Creation Star Trek convention in 2013, I want to say. And he said, Alec, I've run it up the flagpole, and it would literally take the CEO of Paramount and the CEO of CBS sitting in a room together doing nothing but talking about guidelines in order for guidelines to happen. That's not going to happen.
Right. That's not happening.
But ironically, a couple of years later, they had no problem coming out with guidelines. How did that happen? Wow.
Right. Suddenly they have guidelines. They can't get these two guys on the same golf schedule to talk about this, but now suddenly there's this stuff. And you know what? Here's the thing. And this is something I just thought of, and say, okay, listen, here's what I'm going to do. You put me in a room with the head CBS and or head Paramount, and if they say stop, then I'm done. I'm done. I'm not even going to try. I'm not going to argue. Nothing. You'll never hear from me again. You know, put it on them. Like, okay, if you want this, just, you know, tell Dad that I got to stop, and then I'll do it. And I'm sure the odds of them getting the CEO to even come in and sit down and say, okay, quit it, is not going to happen. So, you know, it's like you're willing to do a thing, but there's a ceiling as to how much effort they really want to put into that, and don't want to take the chance that you know, the top guy says, why are you bothering me with this? Leave him alone.
Yeah. Well, you know, listen, if they come to me before they sued me, you know, and here's the other thing. So in August of 2015, I contacted Liz Kalodner and I said, look, Liz, we're raising a lot of money and we're trying to be respectful. We took Star Trek out of the name, you know, but I want to make sure we're not crossing the lines. Can we talk? Can you know, are you going to be in Las Vegas? And she was like, no, I'm not. But Bill Burke is, and John Van Sitters is. Set up a meeting with them. So I set up a meeting with them. I'm like, all right, guys, you know, here's what's happening, blah, 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 blah. And Bill Burke says to us, he says to me, he says, look, we can't tell you what you can do, and we can't tell you what you can't do. But when you cross over the line, we'll let you know.
What the hell kind of statement is that?
All right. Well, let me know.
We'll let you know when we
phone call. They all had my phone. They all had my cell phone.
Right.
I thought they were all in my phone. I mean, I still have Liz Kalodner and Bill Burks and John Van Sitters in my phone.
Yeah.
I had them. We all knew each other. They could have picked up the phone anytime. They could have sent me an email. Worst case, they send me a cease and desist.
Right.
But no, they sue me. Like, what idiot thought that was a good course of action? Now, of course, they thought I was just going to, like, you know, crawl up in a ball and crawl in a corner and cry for my mommy.
They had the Trump strategy that they were relying on.
Yeah. And I'm a lawyer. I mean, I never practiced. I went to law school. I passed the bar. And I said, I'm not going to do this. But at least I know what I'm doing. At least I know what the law is and how to work around it. And I'm not going to back down. It's like, if they had come to me and said, Alec, we need you to make some changes. Okay, what changes do you need me to make? I would have made them. Well, you can't make a movie. We're going to let you make 2 15-minute episodes. Make them like Prelude if you want. That's fine, but you can't make a movie. You know, you can't do any more fundraising. You've raised too much money as it is. Well, okay, I'll make the changes. That's fine. They didn't do that, though. They just wanted to be assholes. And you know, back to your comment earlier about capitalism.
Right.
Like the smart capitalist move is, how do we make money off of this? That's the smart capitalist move.
With this release, I know we talked about some of the difficulties that are going around surrounding it. What's the big plus for you? What's the thing that is the positive that you've got to take away from the release of The Gathering Storm?
Well, just that we were, you know, that the fans appreciated it. That the response was overwhelming, right? Everyone just loved it. And, you know, everyone's saying, oh, my God, it was worth the wait. or it's so much better than anything Kurtzman did, or best Star Trek in 20 years. I mean, we hear those things all the time. That's like the most common thing we're hearing. So it's the approval of the fans is what matters.
There's a funny story I've got to tell you. So this was in February 2024 was when I was down for the principal photography wrap, and got to talk to the Patricia Tallman a little bit. And there was, I don't recall if it was the first morning or the second morning, I had just gotten to the studio and you texted me and said, hey, I need you to give Tony a ride to Dana's. And I wasn't all the way awake. And I'm thinking, okay, I know Dana Wagner, but Tony, who is that on the crew? Because it wasn't clicking. And I said, yeah, I'm not sure. So, okay. Drove back to the hotel, and I see Tony Amendola sitting there. I'm thinking, oh, that Tony. Okay, so I was completely unprepared. And I'm thinking, okay, hey, yeah, hi, my name's Jefferson. I'm going to give you a ride to such and such place. And it was really cool getting to spend a little time with Tony. But I'm thinking, okay, how do I talk to him a little bit? I'm sure actors are talked to death everywhere they go. And I'm thinking, okay, well, awkward silence is very, very, anxiety inducing for someone who does podcasting, because you don't like that dead air, but also didn't want to, it's like, what's the happy middle there? But he was really cool. Talked about Stargate a little bit and some of his other works, but really, really nice guy. And it was great to have some interaction with him. But I had never had a chance to tell you that story. I didn't know that was who you were talking about. I was just still, half awake, but he was really cool. And it's the way that they both played their parts was great. I mean, spectacular acting. So that was a great weekend to have those two there.
Oh yeah. Anytime you're working with great actors, it is so much fun. It's because it's so much fun to watch them work.
Was it a high hill that you had to climb to get them on board? What did that process look like? How did Alec Peters get these actors on the set in these roles?
Well, both Ferran Tahir and Tony Amendola were friends of friends. Like I found someone who knew them, and they made an introduction, and that's how we got them. And then it's just telling them, here's the project. Hold on, and the project's interesting enough. Do you have an interesting role? Does the script resonate with them?
Right.
Actors want to work. Actors, they don't want to say no. They want to work. So they just want your project to be worthy. Right.
Well, that's great. That's great that you're able to get them on board, meet them, get them on board, and that you're able to put all the footage together and get great talent around you. And I'm sure everyone is really proud and appreciative of what's come out and what you've put together. So now next is Crucible. And I'm sure that you will probably be so happy to be done. Once that one is here. I think the estimate we've got on that is possibly end of the year or early next year for Crucible.
Yeah. So ideally the end of the year. Is that realistic? I don't know. I don't know. We're also thinking, the good news is we're also thinking that, wow, the experience was really good in San Diego. And next year we could, maybe be at the convention, right?
Right.
That's a possibility, and it might be worth our while to wait for that. I don't know, and I think I don't want to say anything because one, I'm always wrong about when we're going to be ready to release.
It happens. Hey,
I'm always wrong. I'm always so enthusiastic, and then something happens, and you're like, oh fuck.
Right.
So and we've had so many of those situations where unexpected things keep happening because you're not paying anyone, right? So
Right.
Dana has to build his shed, so he's took the last month off pretty much after he finished the colorization, and he's like, hey, I got to build my shed and build a shed. It's this amazing shed with a foundation and a staircase and redoing his deck. It's the whole. He does stuff that I can't.
What did he need with the shed? His house was enough.
Oh, God.
I mean, it was like two houses in one, and he needed a shed. Wow.
Yeah. So we'll see. I think that we've earned a little leeway at this point.
Absolutely.
People are like, okay, we'll wait a year.
Yeah, absolutely. You've definitely earned it. Need that time. I think next year's San Diego Comic-Con would be another great idea. And Alec, I just wanted to say thank you for the time tonight and sitting down and talking about this. It's always a pleasure to talk with you about Axanar, and gonna keep pulling for you. There's going to be plenty of talk still about the Gathering Storm. You can't stop the signal, Mal. It's out there. The movie's out there, and it's proliferating.
On our website, everyone go download it, share it on your Facebook page, wherever. Please do. Please check it out. Please check out all the Axanar films. Icarus Maneuver is up now. Daedalus is up. The new director's cut of Daedalus is up. So lots of goodness to find there. And listen, we're exploring AI at this point. It's early stages, but the stuff I'm seeing from Star Wars filmmakers is mind-boggling. So I'm like, we're going to make the full-length Axanar feature film all in AI.
That's right. That you are right. You could do it with AI.
Yes, we are.
Yes. You heard it here first, folks. We're going to get,
but we're going to do it.
We're going to get the full feature in AI. That would be awesome. That would be great to have that, because I know that's what a lot of fans really were hoping for. We'll take these 2 15-minute episodes, but we know that the intention was a full movie. And I think with the power of AI, that can be done. So definitely going to be looking forward to that.
Right. Absolutely. It can be done. I think it's great. So
awesome.
Thanks.
Excellent. Yeah, Alec, thank you very much. And congratulations. This is awesome. And we'll talk again soon. You take care. And to everyone listening and or watching, this is BigJ and Alec Peters. Beyond Trek Podcast. Live long and prosper.
We are Beyond Trek Podcast. Lower your inhibitions and surrender your years. We will add inspirational and hilarious Trek content to your day. Your attention will adapt to subscribe to us. Resistance is futile.